Well, hi. So, I just made a video for my main channel about DID, about dissociative identity disorder, and it was a bit of a big leap because I kind of veered away from that channel when it came to talking about DID. Because while most people were supportive, there were those who felt like I shouldn't talk about it because maybe they didn't believe that it was even a thing. They didn't believe that we had DID. So if you're interested in seeing that video, it's on my main channel. You can find it at I Drank the Seawater. It's my most recent video. I guess timestamp is whatever the hell day we are. I'm kind of a little bit whatever day this is being posted here is the day it's being posted there. So you can find it on a similar timestamp. Anyways, so we have started with a new therapist. She's very open in terms of talking with my others. She is even very inclusive and says that she wants to include them in therapy and that they can be able to talk when they want to talk. And if she asks a question, she specifies, like, I'm saying this to all of you and anyone can respond. So it's actually pretty positive. There's been something going on lately. I'm not sure if it's because of like being so accepted, but I think that there was other factors, but there was I've talked about an angry alter or a persecutor alter before, and they yell at me. Like, you can actually hear them yelling at me, which you'll have heard in previous video. I'm learning more about them, and I'm experiencing more feeling them out, whereas I'm also remembering them being out in the past before I knew that it was DID. I can look back to years of looking in the mirror and feeling like I was talking to the self in the mirror, and I didn't understand that I wasn't the one talking to the self in the mirror. Isn't that a weird... I didn't know what switching was. I refused to believe that it was DID. So the idea that I wasn't the one yelling at the person in the mirror seemed a little bit absurd, because it had to be just a quirk, right? It has to be just a quirk. I'm just being a weird person yelling at the girl in the mirror, right? It couldn't have been that someone else was taking control, yelling at me in the mirror. I really did see a little girl in the mirror. I really did see, but I think that was kind of intertwined. And I think that this persecutor, who particularly hates me, with good reason, they've been out a little bit lately. I'm a little bit mad that it would be insinuated that I wouldn't have some kind of reason, as if she were in the right, as if she were and this face looking at me right now, it can fuck off. As if she got to be the one that was, wow, I'm such a victim. I can't believe someone's yelling at me in the mirror and I didn't get it. Well, maybe it's because I'm daft. There was yelling, and not just now. Back then, there was yelling, and there was threats, and there was moments of putting knives to my face or my throat, and like they were saying they were gonna do it, and I remember their fear was not for me and not for them. It was for the kids they wondered were inside both of us, and they didn't want to hurt the kids. So, or the littles, as the DID term would be, they didn't want to hurt the littles by hurting me, even though they hated me. And it was, I always thought looking back that I was the one doing that to Skittle, which isn't to say that I'm not capable of being angry. I suppose I express my anger a little more inwardly. I was seeing Skittle in the mirror, but there was so much more going on than just me and her. I did see her, a 4-year-old girl, but there was also this fight going on that I didn't realize I wasn't the one. I could feel these feelings of hate, but they weren't mine. And I could say these things in this agitated, accusatory tone of loathing. And I can realize now that it wasn't mine. We've been switching a lot lately, and they have been very vocal about hating. As if it wasn't deserved. As if it wasn't just like matter of fact, this girl is garbage. And no one sees that. It's confusing, isn't it? Did you guys see stuff about how, I think it was by Harvard University, was publishing stuff about how you can usually be co-conscious with your alters and what that's like? I think that was interesting because they say that the amnesia barriers is way less common than you would imagine, and that oftentimes that is fabricated. Which isn't to say that DID is fabricated, it's simply to say that sometimes the amnesia barriers, because it's so Hollywood put on, is actually there was a thought there somewhere. Anyways, I think I talked about what I wanted to say in terms of realizing that there's someone else kind of yelling, and that I haven't been the one doing the yelling all this time. I've been the one receiving the yelling. And I guess she saw me, but when I looked in the mirror, I saw Skittle, and that's kind of interesting. I wonder why it was that she was looking at me and I was looking at Skittle. Because I just think that's kind of peculiar. What was Skittle doing there and all that hate? Was she saving me? Was she my protector? Like, how do we view that one?